All right, we are going to be talking about ratios today. And this is just an introduction to ratios. So let's get started. Ratios, they are a comparison of two things. And when I say things, I mean green marbles to blue marbles, or blue pens to red pens, or something like that. There are three ways to write a ratio. You can use a colon, so like 4:5. You can use the word two, TO, 4 to 5. You can use a slash, which is 4/5. Now, just know this 4/5 is the same thing as writing 4/5 like that. So you'll see the slash like that, kind of at an angle or like this, but it's the same thing. All right, some ratio items. A ratio is just a fraction. So when you hear the word fraction, that's really just a ratio. When you hear the word ratio, that's really a fraction. Order matters. A to B is not the same as B to A. Ratios can be reduced, but not always. Now let's go back to that. When you have ratios, should you reduce them or should you not? And the general rule is yes, you reduce them, but sometimes a problem may be to where you don't reduce it. And that's just kind of problem by problem. But in general, you'll never go wrong by reducing. All right, some ratio problems. 5 red pens and 8 blue pens. What is a ratio of red to blue pens? We're going to write it all three ways. So if you want, you can pause the video here and try it yourself and then check your answers. It would be 5:8, 5/8, and 5/8. And once again, 8:5 is wrong. It's got to be 5 to 8. 5 to 8, 5/8 here is the same thing as 5/8. It's just a fraction. B, what is the ratio of blue to red? All right, so before we did red to blue, now we're doing blue to red. So it's 8:5, 8/5, or 8/5. So you can see these two are opposites and they're totally different. One's red to blue, one's blue to red. What's the ratio of red pens to total pens? So you find the red pens, and then you have to add these two up to get your total. And so it's 5 to 13, 5 to 13, and 5/13. What's the ratio of blue to total? So now we do the blue pens to the total pens. That would be 8:13, 8/13, and 8/13. All right, problem 2. You've got some apples and some oranges here, and I'm going to attempt to do this so it shows you what proportionality is also. All right, what's the ratio of apples to oranges? Right, all three ways. So you got 3 apples, 2 oranges. So we want to do the number of apples first and the number of oranges. So we have 3:2, 3 to 2, and 3/2. All right, the last problem was 3 apples and 2 oranges, which I'm going to put up here. There we are. If we increase the apples by 3 more, then how many oranges will we increase? So for what a ratio is it's every 3 apples, you get 2 oranges. So if I add 3 more apples, I'm going to add 2 more oranges. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apples, how many oranges will that be? Well, you got your 2 from the first 3, then you got 2 for the next 3. So you've got your 3 apples and 2 oranges, then you have your 3 apples and 2 oranges. So it's proportional. For every 3 apples you go up 2 oranges. So for every 3 apples, you'll add 2 oranges, like I just said. What if you had 9 apples? So think about this: you'd have 3, 3, 3 apples. Oranges would be 2, 2, and 2. So 6 oranges, because 3 apples is 2 oranges. 6 apples is 4 oranges. 9 is 6 oranges. So every 3 apples, you go up 2. And let's see what it looks like with a picture. 3 apples, 2 oranges. 3 apples, 2 oranges. 3 apples, 2 oranges. So you've got a total of 2, 4, 6 oranges. All right, let's set the ratios using math and a box method in order to solve problems like that. For the original problem, we have 3 apples for every 2 oranges. So we put that in a box. 3 apples, 2 oranges. And you want to set this box and put these units. Now, let's say we want to see how many oranges we'll have. We have 12 apples. So here is the new one. So notice I've got my original 3 apples for 2 oranges, and then I'm given 12 apples, so I put the 12 there. And then I have a question mark saying, I don't know how many oranges there are. Now, figure out how many oranges there will be for 12 apples. You're going to do this by saying 3 times what is 12? Well, 3 times 4. So if you multiply that by 4, you multiply this by 4. So you get 8 oranges. All right, try these. You're going to copy each chart and then solve for the missing number. Then check your answers on the next slide. So go ahead and pause this, write down these on your paper, and then solve for the missing question mark. And then once you've done that for all three, let's check your answers. All right, here is your first one. 5 times what will give you 25? And it's 5 times 5. So 3 times 5 equals 15. And there's 15. All right, the next one is 18 because 10 times 6 is 60. 3 times 6 is 18. All right, next one is 49. And it's 49 because 7 times 7, or sorry, for this one, it's a little bit different. You do on the bottom here. 5 times 7 is 35. So 7 times 7 is 49. All right, when setting up ratios and giving an answer, you usually reduce. So let's work on reducing. Reducing is dividing both numbers by the same number to get the numbers lower. So for example, and I'm going to write this fraction a little bit easier for you to see. 4/8, it's the same thing. And we're going to divide each by 4. And when I do that, I get 4 divided by 4 is 1, 8 divided by 4 is 2, and there's your 1/2. All right, try these. Reduce each ratio, do all of them, and check your answers on the next slide. So pause here, or actually go ahead and pause here, copy all the ratios or fractions, and then reduce them. All right, so number 1, 5/15, you're going to divide by 5 by each one, divide by 5. Divide by 5, and you get 1/3. Number 2, 10/15, divide by 5 again, and you get 2/3. 3, 12/20, divide by 4. You get 3/5. Now, let me show you something. If you have 12/20, and let's say you divide by 2, you could easily do that. And 12 divided by 2 is 6, 20 divided by 2 is 10. Then you would need to divide by 2 again. And you get 3/5. So you get the same thing, but you have to just divide twice, which is fine. If you can't, and what you're doing is finding the greatest common factor. And if you don't find the GCF, then that's all right. You just divide twice. No big deal. All right, number 4, the biggest number that goes into both is 5. So it's 5/6. Number 5, the biggest number that goes in both is 8. You could have divided by 2 or 4, but you'd have to divide again, and you eventually get 1/3. All right, and that is it.